Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely, and I just want to record a very short podcast about the late-breaking story today, which was, of course, the issuance by the International Criminal Court of an arrest warrant against Russian President Vladimir Putin. You may remember Peter and I spoke about this a few days ago, and we in fact predicted that the ICC will indict President Putin, not of course because Putin has committed any crimes or anything like that, but because this is part of the public relations machine of NATO, of the United States, which is to use these fake international criminal courts to wage publicity campaigns against the would-be adversaries of NATO and the United States. We saw this very much during the 1990s when the ICTY, which is the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, acted as a handmaiden to NATO, issuing indictments in the case of Bosnia-Herzegovina to President Radovan Karadzic and General Ratko Mladic, so as to prevent these two Bosnian Serb leaders from taking part in the peace negotiations in Dayton. This was in 1995. The Americans were very anxious not to have Karadzic and Mladic at Dayton, so the ICTY came out and issued indictments against them. Subsequently, it added to the indictments, indicting them for genocide and so on. This is very much the same thing happened in the case of Slobodan Milosevic in the middle of the NATO's bombing campaign against Yugoslavia, which wasn't going terribly well, was losing public support in NATO capitals, and lo and behold, out comes the ICTY and issues an indictment against the ICTY without having done even, the most rudimentary kind of forensic investigation. So this is very much a part and parcel of the Western propaganda machine. We predicted it, and of course it's come to pass. Naturally, it's very, very important that no one takes these indictments seriously at all, not to have any truck with an international criminal court that this has, and to suggest that this has anything to do with serious jurisprudence or serious legal procedures, that this is some sort of a serious court. And unfortunately, there are too many people who ostensibly on the kind of anti-interventionist, anti-imperialist side, who make these stupid arguments suggesting that, well, I'm for holding Putin accountable as long as we also hold Bill Clinton accountable, and we also hold George W. Bush accountable and Tony Blair accountable, and we, as long as we can have all these people brought to trial, I'm for indicting Putin. This is the stupidest argument, and we should absolutely have nothing to do with it. These international courts, whether it was the ICTY or the ICC, are structured in such a way that they target the enemies of the Western powers. That's what they were created to do. They are doing what they were designed to do. They cannot by their nature indict Blair or Bush or Obama. It cannot happen. And so these various kind of do-gooder people saying, well, it's okay, the ICC, maybe it's not so bad if, down the road, it will indict George W. Bush. It will never indict George W. Bush. It cannot happen. It's a very, very important matter. It cannot happen. The idea that some years down the road, the Americans might accept the jurisdiction of the ICC, that cannot happen. The United States has never even held its own war criminals to account, and that is going to allow some international body to hold Americans to account. It cannot happen. According to US law, the United States is entitled to invade Holland and go to The Hague and seize any Americans who may have been arrested by the ICC. That's the US law. So the whole idea that at some point down the road, the Americans will ever accept the jurisdiction of the ICC is absolutely nonsensical. But it's very important that this story is put about so that these various kind of human rights brigade types can justify supporting the ICC or the ICTY or whatever any of these criminal tribunals that sort of spring up here and there, all under kind of UN international auspices, on the ground that, well, one day, you know, everyone will accept this jurisdiction. And therefore, we are entitled to support them because half a loaf is better than none. No, half a loaf is not better than none. A mockery of justice is no justice at all. A kangaroo court is a kangaroo court. It is not an imitation of a court. It's not an inferior form of a court. It is no court at all. It is a mockery of a court. And that is what these international tribunals are about. So there should be nobody should be fooled for 1 minute and by saying that, well, this is okay, but you know, the indictment of Putin is just the first step. I'm really looking forward to the day when they indict some NATO officials. It will never happen. But it's very important for these propagandists to hold out the hope that this will happen. That's how they get the support of the sort of the do-gooders, the sort of anti-interventionists, the anti-imperialists. Well, this is okay because, you know, maybe down the road, you know, we'll be indicting some NATO figures. No, this cannot happen. And so it's very important that you know, we all discredit, you know, with every fiber of our being, this tribunal, all these courts, they have nothing to do with justice. They are exclusively propaganda exercises waged by the United States, and they have to be used against the adversaries of the United States to generate favorable publicity for America's wars, for America's imperial design. So don't have anything to do with them, and, you know, don't fall for the trap that you'll get on all these libertarian websites. Well, I'm for it, you know, but, you know, let's bring George W. Bush to The Hague. Nonsense. You know, Kissinger's not going to The Hague, Bush isn't going to The Hague, Obama's not going to The Hague. Not going to happen. So this, you know, just something that, you know, it's very important that, you know, we appreciate that these are mockeries of legal proceedings. And that's what a kangaroo court is. They imitate the procedures of a serious court. You know, they wear robes. You have judges sitting, you know, that's very solemn, you know, with the shuffling papers around. We have prosecutors, we have defense counsel, we have amici, you know, presenting cases, you know, handing in documents and so on. Rubbish. That is still a kangaroo court. It is still a mockery of justice. That's the whole point of a kangaroo court. You just go through the procedures to make it seem as if this is a real court of law. Don't ever be taken in by it. These are not real courts. Anyway, that was my word for the day. Obviously, this is Friday night. You know, we will have more to say about these developments over the weekend. But I thought I'd put in my 2 bits worth as the news is breaking. So thank you very much. And remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.